This video is about distributing a number inside a parenthesis. So we're still solving linear equations, but in this case we have a number that is located directly outside of a parenthesis. When a number and a parenthesis are side by side like this, it means equal. It means multiply. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply the 6, but you're going to distribute it, which is where we get the word, to the x and the 4. We're not going to jump over to the 10 because it's not what the 6 is directly connected to. So when we multiply, we're going to have 6 times x. Those two just shove right next to each other. Just shove right next to each other. Plus 6 times 4 is 24 equals 10. Once you distribute, you get to proceed to subtract the constant. So the constant, remember, is the one we're getting rid of that's on the same side as the variable. The variable's on the left. So I'll subtract 24. Subtract 24. Now I have 6x equals 10 minus 24. Well, that's negative 14. Okay? Again, if you're using a calculator, which I'm not a big fan of, but I also am a realist and know a lot of you will grab it. It's a touch math thing. You can touch 10, you can touch a minus, you can touch a 24. Do not put an extra minus symbol in there that's not there. Don't say minus a negative, then you're going to get the wrong answer. So in this case, we will divide by 6. Divide by 6. And here is your first real opportunity to see that as you get into higher math, guess what? They're not going to come out all nice and neat. So in this case, 6 doesn't evenly divide with negative 14. It can go in there negative 2 times to give us 12 with 2 left over out of the 6 I divided by. Well, math teachers don't like this because you know why? That's not simplest form. You can turn that and you can say, well, both the 2 and 6 can divide by 2. So I still have the negative 2 as my whole number. And then I'll say 1/3 because I can divide them both by 2. Now, I know some of you are going to say, can't I just say negative 2.3 repeating? No, because that's not an exact answer. In fact, a lot of your standardized tests will have, instead of mixed numbers as answers like you have here, they will even take this fraction part, this negative 14 over 6, and just reduce it. Well, 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And you'll see answers on a standardized test written like that. Why? Because standardized tests, math teachers, we all prefer the fractions to decimals that are not terminating. We want exact answers, not approximate. Now, I'm going to also show you minus signs are the same thing as negative numbers, okay? So even though if I look at this, I have a negative number, a negative sign in front of a parenthesis, that's actually a -1 that's in front of the parenthesis. And even though we would read this as -8 equals 4, it's actually a -8 if I'm looking at it. It's the same thing. It's still -8. But when we put it in when we put it into the context of multiplying, it becomes a negative instead of a minus. We just read it different. So we're going to say -1 times 3x, that's negative 3x. -1 times -8 is a positive. Get that, positive 8. And that's where I want to caution you because a lot of people forget that that minus counts. Now we're back to proceeding to subtracting the constant that's on the variable side. Subtract 8. Subtract 8, we have negative 3x equals negative 4. In this case, we will divide by negative 3. X equals 2 negatives equal a positive. And remember what I just said, math teachers love, love, love fractions. And I cannot divide a 4 and a 3 by anything other than 1. So this is simplest form. Okay? Alrighty. One more in this section, and then we will wrap this one up. And that's this dreaded fraction. People hate the fraction, but you know what? Don't be scared about it. So the rule is with fractions is the bottoms of fractions, they're really, really nitpicky. They will only multiply with other bottoms of fractions. So do you even see any other fractions here? Nope. So guess what that means? 3 is only going to be going along for the ride. It's not going to multiply with anything. But the 2, that's going to get to multiply to both the 6 and the -9. So we're going to see how that looks. So 2 times 6x is 12x. The 3 just goes along for the ride. Then you have minus 2 times -9 is -18. The 3 goes along for the ride. Now you notice how I said -18, but if I were to read this left to right, it says minus. Negative and minus are the same thing. It depends on the context of how you read it. Okay, equals 7. Now, after I multiply it, I always try to clean it up if I can. For example, if I look at this, 12 divided by 3 easily turns into 4x. That's much nicer looking. Much nicer looking. And then I have minus, and 18 divided by 3 is 6 equals 7. So in this final step, I can get the constants, get rid of the constant that's on the variable side. And here I have 4x equals 13. Again, I have not been giving you very nice ones. And that's because as you get into these math classes, I hate those videos that show you all the easy ones. And then they're like, okay, now you do it. And you get all these hard ones. It's horrible. So we're going to go divide by 4. So I have x equals, now, can 13 or 4 be divided by the same number? Nope. So that's as best we can do. 13 over 4 is my answer. Now, if you want to turn it to a mixed number, 4 can go into 13 3 times with one number left over. So 3 and 1/4. Okay.